which is a very important topic, and it will be taken over by Professor C.H. Mehta as the mentor, director, Center for Skill Development at Professor University. And session number 9, 1 p.m. role of teachers and skill gap analysis for the youth in Manipur, as I have already mentioned in my key address also, for reimagining vocational education in the higher education. It will be taken by Professor Chan Babu Singh, President University. Then session number 10, teachers' role in industry engagement and developing skills being under the National Skills Qualification Framework. It will be taken by myself. And this is the session 11, financial skills under reimagining vocational education through NEP 2020, which should be taken by Professor A. Rajmani Singh, Department of Commerce, Manipur University. Session number 12 on 14 March 2022, community colleges as Center for Skill Development for the people in the hilly areas of Manipur. Mr. Paulson Wi-Fi will be taking the mentorship, noble officer of the community college, who is also well expert in the field. Session number 13 is discussion on examination reforms, quality and research under vocational education by Professor N. Nimai Singh, Controller of the Examination University. And last but not the least is session number 14, discussion on changing mindsets of the society on vocational education by Dr. Henrik Lyson, social scientist, as it refers to the societal changes that Henrik Lyson will be conducting the session. And after that, we'll be having the reports and recommendation, and 2 p.m. will be the hearing where the team leaders will be presenting the recommendations and the reports. And these are the things which are going to happen during the 3 days hectic schedule of the faculty development program. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Rajendra Singh, Principal of LILONG Honorary College, giving his introductory note highlighting different aspects of the 3-day faculty development program. Now we'll have opening remarks from different esteemed members on the days. First, I'd like to call upon Professor Sheikh Ibol Maite, Director, Center for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Manipur University, who is one of the guests of honor of today's function. So I request her to present an opening remark regarding the function.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, Dr. Lakita Bali Waipu, IAS, Director, University and Higher Education, Government of Manipur, Dr. Kiran Jarika, Director, DDU, Center for Council, Tribhuvan University, and member, University Grants Commission, UGC New Delhi, Professor Hong Kyung Lee, Department of Foreign Languages, Manipur University, Dr. Mohammed Hafidh Said, Principal of this college, LILONG HAOREIBI College. Special invitees, esteemed academic participants, teachers from different colleges, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm good morning to everyone. Well, at the outset, I'm very much thankful to the organizing team for giving me this opportunity to be amidst you. especially on this occasion of 3 days faculty development program on the role of teachers in integrating skill development in the higher education through the NEP 2020. Uh, all of us are quite aware about the NEP 2020. We need not to speak much of it. Of course, there are so much of good agendas coming up in the NEP 2020 about vocational education exposure to our learners. In fact, there is a one major agenda as our friend Principal Dr. Rehazuddin Sheikh had also mentioned 50% of the learners starting from class 6 onwards, they are supposed to get vocational and skill exposure by 2025. It's a very challenging task. We know that the kind of a training which we have been providing in the vocational segment, it is not up to the mark. We have been focusing more on the conventional way of imparting education. Now, India is dreaming to become a global knowledge superpower. And that way, India's centric kind of education can definitely be able to transform the entire society and become a superpower in the years to come. And it's a very, very ambitious kind of a plan. And for that, I really appreciate the activities taken up by this college because vocational or otherwise a skill development. Today's program can also be part of the reskilling of the faculty members. The faculty members cannot be trailing behind because of the developmental things happening in the teaching learning processes. Even the introduction of the ICTs and various ways of following the pedagogy, the experiential way of learning, the case-based studies, imbibing the critical thinking and the problem solving and the leadership qualities to the students. We are now supposed to transform our entire way of looking in the education system. So we have so many areas to be discussed with. We have requirements in the examination reforms. We have requirements in the modernization of the curriculum. We need to integrate various other aspects of learning. We cannot keep our domain knowledge confining to a single particular trade or the subject. We cannot think of having the entire education as a watertight compartment of various streams of study. We are now required to integrate all these different areas so that the creative and hidden talents of our young boys and girls can be nurtured to the fullest extent and they become very, very responsible citizens of the society. And we know by producing so much of graduates in various streams of study, the unemployment problem is increasing alarmingly year after another. That's why we are supposed to say about the employment aspects of our learners. And for that, teachers are supposed to play a very, very important role. They're supposed to be the change as in for transforming the entire mindset of our students and by providing the right kind of inputs of vocational and skill development, they can become a well-acceptable workforce across the globe and they can be gainfully employed anywhere they may be going and otherwise too. They can also become the job providers in the right job market. So these are the certain aspects we see with. That's why we need to go for change. Change is the only things we are supposed to experience it. And if we want to make change in the student's mindset, first the teacher's mindset are to be changed. Teachers are to be equipped to know the kind of a delivery they are supposed to provide to their students. So, ladies and gentlemen, We have so much of sessions to be deliberated upon, and in fact, I also will be sharing a few of the topics which may be of certain relevance as far as the implementation of vocational courses and integrating these things to the mainstream practical study, so that at the end of the course, they may be getting some sort of an insight, and probably they may become a productive workforces in the relevant trades or the study they have undertaken. And I'm very much thankful to the organizing team for taking up this kind of a very, very contemporary, relevant topic to have some sort of a deeper insight among the pieces or teaching paternity for making a good change happening in our state and bringing this LEP 2020 be implemented in a true sense of the term. I wish you all the best. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful speech. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Venkatabali Vaikum, IAS Director, University and Higher Education Manipur, who is also one of the guests of honor of today's function, to give an opening remark regarding the function. Kurunjari, a warm good morning to all of you, respected dignitaries on the days, faculty members, non-faculty members of LILONG HAOREIBI College and the sponsoring institute, Rajika, the National Institute of Youth Development, which is under the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Water Principal Rajendra Sheikh for his ever leadership and guidance in organizing this 3-day faculty development program on the role of teachers in integrating skill development and higher education to National Education Policy 2020. And I wish a great success, that you all will have a threadbare discussion in the next coming 2 days, and would sort of, learn as well as unlearn yourself. This is a very dynamic kind of an area where a lot of things are happening, where a lot of studies are also taking place, and I hope we'll have a very academic discussion in the coming days. As well as this will be, I think, perhaps one of the first best initiatives taken up by this college towards empowering the faculty members. I wish all of you the very best. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for always. Now we'll have another opening remark from Professor Kim Ping Lee, Department of Foreign Languages, Manipur University, who is a special guest of today's function. So I'd like to request ma'am to present the opening remark regarding the function.
안녕하세요. 쿠름조리 누가일리브라 아이비비 I Manipur University Manundaleye. Thank you for inviting for this special seminar, and then especially our honorable guest, Dr. Nanji Dali Wakom, Director, University and Higher Education, Manipur, and then Dr. Ilan Hazarika, the Director, DDU Center for Kaushal, Dibrugarh University, and member of the UGC, and then Professor Sri Bohar Gide, he's my close friend. He's a doctor, director, Center for the Skill Development Entrepreneurship, Manipur University. And then lastly, thank you for the Dr. MD Lahezuddin Sheikh. And then the professors and lecturers who are here in the seminar. As a Korean, I want to share about Korea and India relationship in my session, and then I also want to introduce about the Korean language learning in India, and especially in the northeast India. Also, I want to share through the Korean language how the student can get a job and then they can do their further study in future. So I want to share in detail in my session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your speech. Now I would like to invite Dr. Kiran Hazarika, Director DDU Center for Kaushal, Ilorin University, and also member of UGC, who is the chief guest of today's function to present an opening remark regarding the function. So I'd like to sir to present his speech.
Namaskar. Um, Respected guests in the dais, Rangi Tabali Pankam, Madam, she is Director of University and Higher Education, Dr. Manipur, and my friend Professor Ibohal Mehdi is also Director of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Center of Manipur University, and the Professor Hinkam Lee, Korean academicians, language expert, doing research in Manipur University, and Dr. Rahezuddin Sheikh is also one of my best friends, and participants coming from the various part of various higher education institutions. Already so many details on the skills being discussed by our esteemed guest. Time is nearly over, but the next technical session is coming out by 10:30. Then Gitavali Madam is ready to deliver your lecture. Although presently the people demand the most demanded subjects in our country, most demanded area of study is skill. So next session, because our country is a big country having 1300, more than 1300 millions of people. So we have 65% population is young population. So how government is thinking that how we generate our population, and the questions amongst the unemployment generations raises the unemployment. So government is thinking how to employ the next generations. So skills the only the way to employ themselves. So government taking initiative to launch lot of programs in under the skill development. So vocational education is being integrated with the higher education, even in the lower education, undergraduate level, and school, preschool, and from the class 8 onwards, 6 onwards, government trying to introduce the skill education, because have you already you know the national education policy 2020 emphasized to introduce the skill education from the school level. So in coming years, result will come if we properly implementing our NEP or skill education in our country, especially in higher education institutions and school education, then result will very soon it will come out, We hope that skill education will change our Indian scenario in future aspect. So thank you very well. I will discuss all the things in my technical session after the class. Uh, Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your speech. Now we will have vote of thanks, and it will be proposed by Dr. N. Olivia Devi, Assistant Professor, Department of English, LILONG College. So I'd like to invite Dr. N. Olivia Devi to present vote of thanks regarding the function.
A very good morning to the university members of today's program, management committee, my dear colleagues, and everyone gathered here. Today, on this August celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 3-day faculty development program for university and college teachers, which will be held from today, the 12th of March to 14th of March 2020 on a theme, role of teachers in integrating skill development in higher education through NEP 2020, organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell, LILONG HAOREIBI College, in consultation with Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, Sri Perumbavoor. Today, I would like to thank everyone present here, all the president members, Dr. Rangita Waikum, IAS, Director, University of University and Higher Education, Government of Manipur, Dr. Kiran Hazarika, Director, DDU, Center for Social, Dibrugarh University, and member, University Grants Commission. Professor Him Kung Lee, Foreign Language, Department of Foreign Languages, Manipur University. Professor C.S. Ibawal Bete, Director, Center for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Manipur University. And our Principal, Dr. Raheel Singh Said, LILONG HAOREIBI College. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contributions of those who work hard to make this program a grand success. My sincere thanks goes to Sir Principal Dr. Raheel Singh for mentioning the importance of FDP and the need of opening the home at different age group. Thank you, sir. My thanks goes to Sir C.S. Ibawal for imparting the knowledge of vocational courses for the young generation so as to reduce the unemployment programs in a society and the upliftment of self-employment. For this, we need to develop faculty members to suit the teaching in changing trends. Thank you, sir. My thanks goes to Madam Ritali for wishing a grand success for this program and to all the members present here. Next, I would like to thank Sir Hyun Kung Lee, Ma'am Hyun Kung Lee, Ma'am importance on giving importance of foreign language like Korean and others as the need of the hour. My thanks also goes to Dr. Kiran Hazarika for giving us the importance of the skill development and all. And last of all, I would like to thank everyone present here, the media person, students, and staff members, and my dear colleagues for making this program a grand success. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for proposing vote of thanks regarding today's function. With this, we come to the end of today's inaugural session. Now we'll have lecture session diary from now onwards. Let me just highlight. The lecture session that will be programmed for today. that is scheduled for today. First, we'll have a speech from Dr. W. Waiko, IAS, Director, University and Higher Education, Government of Manipur. She will be speaking on the strategic colleges and universities for integrating skill development in higher education through NEP 2020.
A very warm good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, my heartfelt gratitude to LILONG HAOREIBI College and Sponsoring Institute for giving me this wonderful opportunity today to share some thoughts on the importance and need to integrating technical and vocational education training in higher education sector. Various transformative reforms in higher education are taken up by UGC, which we try to adopt and implement in the higher education industry within the vision of National Education Policy 2020. These quality initiatives are vital for the overhauling and re-energizing of the higher education institutions in the state. To mention a few of the initiatives would be the Learning Outcome Curriculum Framework, the university industrial linkages through the establishment of QULITY colleges, opening of courses like B-Book, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Kaushal Kendra, then the life skills, where focus is given on communication skills, on professional skills, leadership, entrepreneurship skills, etc. The faculty development program, especially for training teachers, leadership and management training for administrators, and focus on research, especially the transdisciplinary research against to sort of empower the national development and entrepreneurship, accreditation, daily focus, and untiring efforts to create a conducive environment for the higher education institutions to go for accreditation. We also have the National Higher Education Quality Framework, which is in sync with the National Skills Qualifications Framework. This is basically, again, to ease the integration of vocational education into higher education. Then academic band of credits, the multiple entry, multiple exit in academic programs, apprenticeship, internship, embedded degree program, then guidelines for multidisciplinary institutions, then guidelines for mentoring of teachers, etc. So all these initiatives taken by UGC, we try to follow and implement in the state also. I would like to spend some time on this slide. It will take us and try to understand the trends and the concerns in the current scenario in skills development. India within the Asia-Pacific region is renowned for its size, diversity and complexity, whether it be geographical, socio-economic, cultural, political, or development, all of which impact on every aspect of life, including labor force, employment, education, and training. Asia's economies have achieved remarkable growth rates. Asia also faces demographic challenges. Some countries have a predominantly working age population, while there are economies that will be confronted with an aging, large elder population. The case of the Asian Chinese, or the People Republic of China and India, is significant. Together, they represent almost 36% of the world's population. They are witnessing large-scale migration to urban areas and further fueled for further employment opportunities and higher standards of living. So together with informal employment in agriculture, the proportion of informal employment significantly increases in India. So skill development for the informal sector presents specific challenges to the government So there is need to progress towards aligning skill development strategies with socio-economic goals, skill developments for employability with stresses on practical, technical, and vocational, rather than largely academic knowledge, skills, and understandings, which we referred as technical and vocational education and training. So this includes apprenticeship training, vocational education, industrial arts, technical education, technological vocational education, occupational education, vocational education and training, etc. It refers to education and training that prepare people for gainful employment. It takes place either in formal schools, from primary to higher secondary or post-secondary tertiary, that is a higher education sector, or either in community colleges, in technical colleges, or informally by means of training in the workplace and increasingly by distance learning. So in most developing countries, such skills development for employability occurs through informal or non-formal means rather than formal institutions. So there needs planned strategies for skill development for the technical and vocational education and training subjects in secondary and post-secondary learning centers. That's why we are relevant today, and when we talk about sort of expanding the technical vocational education and training to higher education sector. And I would also like to mention here that as I was going through some of the studies, that the technical and vocational education and training experience almost a kind of a virtual disappearance from the international aids and fundings in the 1980s, when the World Bank radically shifted its policy from the technical vocational education training to primary education. But ladies and gentlemen, today, the technical vocational education and training is back on global education agenda, again partly because of the reaction to the emerging skills divide, with the least developed countries falling further behind. So technical and the vocational education training is regarded as one of the interventions to achieving relevant and high quality education for all, education for sustainable development and millennium development goals, and also part of lifelong learning agenda. There are issues, concerns, and challenges regarding the technical vocational education and training. So investing in this field is important to promote social, economic, and ecological development. Many countries share macroeconomic characteristics like macroeconomic stability, sustained growth and productivity, significant investment in technology, continued investment in human resources development, but they have not yet experienced similar growth trajectories which we have seen in countries of Asia Pacific region like Singapore, Hong Kong, People's Republic of China, and Republic of Korea, etc. So there is an importance for a specific government guidance, planning, policies, and interventions in the sector. We all know that markets alone cannot, in a timely manner, coordinate education and training for people so that the skilled workers are available in the labor market when the employees need them. Hence, there is a need to support government in skill development, planning and policy formulation aligned with the socio-economic development. It is worth to see the success stories from Singapore, and other nations can use Singapore as an example to assist them in designing their skills development and catch-up strategies as they looked very closely at where they wanted to go, which sectors they wanted to focus, and what assets they had as a nation. So they then used off-the-shelf education, skills development, and industrial promotion policies, which they adapted in their national context to very rapidly catch up with more developed countries. And we also know that public-private partnerships and financing on skill development is also important, and the strengthening of the PPPs would also be helpful for developing skills for the innovation and technology sectors. The National Vocational Qualification Frameworks and Sector Skills Council again is underpinned, ladies and gentlemen, by the idea that all qualifications can and should be expressed in terms of outcomes without a prescribed learning pathway. So the underlying motive is the need to strengthen links between education, training, and the labor market, the need to ease the process of labor mobility across employment sectors, regions, and countries, including lifelong education and training, recognizing prior learning experiences and credits, setting standards based on learning outcomes, facilitating quality assurance, and improving the perceived status of technical and vocational education. I would also like to focus on green growth and skills development and employability, which is an ending. At the international level, there is a clear linkages between technical and vocational educations with the environmental conservation and sustainable development. So the Asia Business Report 2009, way back in 2009, predicts that the number of green jobs, it's a kind of a new term, for most of us. It's related to development, manufacture, and operation of renewable energy generating equipment, green accounting, carbon trading, and carbon auditing, created by 2030 could reach 100 million worldwide, which is estimated at 2% of the future workforce. So some of these green jobs will be new jobs, while others will substitute our existing jobs. Potentially, Asia could have 50 million such green jobs, and many jobs in existing industries would require green skills, as manufacturing industries may change their production process or develop green products. So potentially, expanded production capacity, along with supply chains and new servicing needs would indicate that green skills will become an essential part of the future. So there lies a great responsibility to groom our youth, our people, our workers in these new skills. And this is something which the higher education sector should look into. It is also vital to understand vocationalization of education and the reorientation of skill development for employability through lifelong learning. Lifelong learning has emerged as one of the keys to improving the quality of life in the 21st century. Lifelong learning goes beyond formal education and training to include skill development. So this is an umbrella term to describe the ways in which individuals continue to learn and acquire skills and competencies which influence employment and earning potential. So vocationalization, ladies and gentlemen, of secondary and higher education provides a foundation for lifelong learning in skills development for employability. Previously, the notion of vocationalization was only related to inclusion of vocational content into the general education programs or to pre-vocational or the pre-technical education programs. But today, the current trends are to new vocationalization that also includes vocational or technical education programs that prepare participants for direct entry into specific occupations. So the change is away from an education driven to a functional model of skills development at the secondary and post-secondary tertiary level. So this is again one area where we need to study and learn and understand in context with the higher education sector. At the tertiary level, that is the higher education sector, there has been a transformation for higher education in the past 2 decades as a result of massification of higher education. The numbers of tertiary students have further increased by 25% in India between 2005 to 2009. So as students' numbers have risen dramatically and increasing emphasis is being placed on skills development for employability, which has resulted in the vocationalization of higher education. In terms of development skills for employability through the lifelong learning framework, formal learning is getting more and more inclusive of informal and non-formal learning to vocationalize education by devising most effective ways in which education institutions can best prepare learners for the world of work and for a smooth transition from education institutions into the world of work. So skill development for employability and inclusion has clearly shown that for individuals with low skills levels, having the opportunity to acquire skills for employability at strategic points throughout their lives is a crucial factor in improving their prospects for gaining employment and to have a secure income, and thus help us in combating poverty and improving the quality of life for themselves and their families. So when higher education institutions use their expertise to work with schools and act as their advocates, progress can be made in combating poverty, raising the basic skills levels of both children, youths, and people and adults by expanding opportunities for youth and other marginalized groups and for poverty alleviation and equity through enhancing the level of skills among vulnerable groups also. Focus is also on the soft skills, including values and ethics as parts of skills development for employability. So vocationalization of secondary and higher education has clearly shown that at present the vocational education is more school oriented, especially at the upper secondary level, which is again mainly offered by the government schools. So change in the intake capacity is still slow, and the most courses are again school-based. So India is amongst the countries with the lowest proportion of trained youth. 80% of new entrants to the workforce having no opportunity for skills training. So the government has taken due recognition of the skill gaps and plans to take new initiatives for bridging them. We have the national policy of on skill development that provides a direction for skill development in the country. So there is a need for diversifying the post-secondary technical and vocational education as the demand for enrollment at the post-secondary and tertiary levels has increased dramatically in the past few couple of years. I go to the next slide. The main challenge is to link higher education with the changing needs and opportunities of contemporary society and the economy. This is seen as an increasingly important issue by the universities and the policymakers. Creating a fruitful and dynamic partnership between higher education and society at large has become one of the basic missions of the universities. We have seen some trends that are related to the challenge of the knowledge economy, like the development of interdisciplinary links across traditional academic disciplines, blurring the boundaries and developing new approaches towards knowledge production. Development of employability skills that are required for all sectors of the economy, which can be also seen as a priority for both vocational and education. And lifelong learning as a way of responding to rapid knowledge development and market change. So the goal of tertiary education must be university education for vocational education teachers is also required, which should include occupational domains and pedagogical qualifications. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, meeting the challenges of 4 E's: education, employability, employment, and entrepreneurship. India is going through 5 labor market transitions from non-firm to from farms to non-firm, from rural to urban, from unorganized to organized, from subsistence self-employment to decent wage employment, and from school to work. So Indian population has turned into a desirable demographic dividend. Study shows that 58% of India's youth suffer some degree of skill deprivation and employability. And unemployability is a bigger issue than unemployment. So India must undertake reforms of the 4 E's: the education, the employability, the employment, and entrepreneurship, to address sustainable poverty reduction. And one such focus area will be to strengthen the technical and vocational educations in the higher education sector. Different ways of implementing vocationalization include incorporation of more vocationally oriented content and the provision of work-based learning and work experience, the delivering of cross-faculty courses, and establishing interdisciplinary research centers to overcome a segmented approach to knowledge development and acquisition, development of new programs more oriented to market needs, inclusion of employability, enhancing activities that are not related to content teaching, teaching towards attributes acknowledged by employers, recognition of prior learning for both vocational and higher education programs with stress on lifelong learning, arrangement for the articulation and provision of enabling or bridging courses or those lacking knowledge and skills for the higher education programs, interinstitutional collaborative arrangements between universities and the colleges. In 2012, the Government of India, taking note of the requirement of the skill development among students, launched the National Vocational Education Qualification Framework. In 2013, the NVEQF was assimilated into National Skills Qualification Framework. Under the NSQF, many qualification packs and job roles are being developed by various sector skills council. National occupation standards are also developed for a series of workshops and conferences. Assessment mechanism has also been developed by the sector skills councils in alignment with the needs of the local industries. Vocational education started way back from 2012-13 onwards under the initiative of the Ministry of Human Resource Development, set up 200 community colleges nationwide on pilot basis. In 2014, UGC has implemented the scheme of community colleges by sharing structure and resources with existing colleges. In Manipur too, community colleges were established on the 12th and 13th June 2014 under the Government of Manipur Directorate at Churachandpur Community College and Dhanamandjuri Community College. As per the UGC guidelines, the Higher Education Department sketches the vocational education in the higher education in the following 3 aspects. First is the add-on course, which is a 6-month certificate, 1-year diploma in addition to the ongoing general undergrads courses, as the government is implementing vocationalization of higher education under RUSA scheme in all the 40 government colleges, and this scheme is being implemented in partnership with 13 industrial partners. Second, we have the community colleges, which is up to 2 years advanced diploma, 3 years BVOC degree with exit points at the end of each year, and DDU Koshal centers up to the PG level in vocational education under the NSQF. These are being implemented by the colleges under the UGC schemes. Then, of course, integrating vocational education into mainstream education under the CBCF, which is, of course, now upgraded to LOCF. But this is not yet completely adopted, as the affiliating Manipur universities is yet to finalize development of the syllabus and curricula to be adopted in the affiliating colleges. Why do we need integrating vocational education into mainstream education? We know that only 5% of the Indian workforce in the age group of 19 to 24 received formal vocational education and training. And if we compare this data with the other countries, we know that we are far, far behind. So there is an urgent need to integrate vocational education into mainstream general education in the formal education sector in tune with the National Education Policy 2020. Department of University and Higher Education Government of Manipur has initiated certain requirements of the colleges under the following aspects in terms of syllabus and curriculum, in terms of high level of quality and safety standards during training, then competency-based training, then more number of courses aligned with the NSQF and courses with various course durations and infrastructure development, etc. Transforming existing academic infrastructure through enhancement of budget requirements, then well-equipped laboratories, then equipment of industrial standards, well-established library, maintenance of safety standards, green buildings, workshop for training and production, increased number of internship and placement facilities, and also they also need to see how the vocational education is performing at the school level. Because pre-vocational exposure activities which is happening to classes of 6 to 8 is also quite important and vital. They need to emphasize on the fun-based kind of activities, taking children to informal internship by sending to the local persons who are well known for professions or job roles. Pre-vocational exposure shall play a very vital role, and there is also a need for changing the mindset of the parents, because students also need to understand and see in reality what people are earning their livelihoods. We also shall create quality universities and colleges to develop good, thoughtful, well-rounded, creative individuals, youths who are to study one or more specialized area of interest at a very deep level. Then also to develop character, ethical, constitutional values, intellectual curiosity, scientific temper, creativity, and spirit of service, to develop capabilities across a range of disciplines, including sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, languages, professional, technical, and vocational subjects, and also encourage academic branding for personal accomplishment, enlightenment, constructive public engagement, and productive contribution to the society to prepare more meaningful, satisfying lives, work roles, and hence enable economic independence, developing holistic individuals, and identifying a set of skills and values incorporated at each stage of learning, and branding with quality, competency, and employability. At a societal level, we are also focusing to have the kind of enlightened, socially conscious, knowledgeable, and skilled nation that can find and implement robust solutions to its own problems, basis for knowledge creations and innovations, and hence contributing to a growing national economy and a quality higher education which is more than creation of greater opportunities for individual employment. There are key changes happening in higher education, setting up of larger multidisciplinary colleges, more multidisciplinary undergraduate education system, faculty and institutional autonomy, revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support for enhanced student experiences, and reaffirming integrity of faculty and institutional leadership positions through merit appointments and career progression based on teaching, research, and service. It is not the first time that we are talking about vocational education. So why the earlier vocational education failed? We know that the vocational education which was introduced earlier was basically in the class 9 and class 11, 12 only. And that was basically for certain targeted populations for the dropouts only. So there was no pathways, no vertical mobility or horizontal, could not go up further for further studies. So vocational education was also treated as an inferior education compared to mainstream education. So keeping all these aspects in mind, the National Education Policy 2020 aims to overcome the social status and hierarchy associated with reimagining vocational education. In order to promote vocational education, NEP kept a very ambitious target for training 50% of students in vocational education by the end of 2025. We are now in 2022. So almost 3 years down the line, 50 by 2025, we have to completely train 50% of the students in vocational education. So this is a very, very ambitious target. And the number of students in vocational education to be considered while arriving at the gross enrollment ratio. Then vocational education to be integrated in all the secondary schools and higher educational institutions in a phase-wise manner over the next 10 years. Then beginning with vocational exposure at the early age from class 6 to class 8, then quality vocational education in middle and secondary education between class 9 to 12, and to smoothly continue vocational education into higher education. So what shall we do? We need to establish skill hubs, skill labs in a hub and spoke models. We need to train the trainers. We need to identify collaborations. And the purpose of collaborations again is basically creating opportunities for students to go for industrial visit and practical exposure, giving opportunities of hands-on training, interaction with the field experts, constant dialogues with industry people, industry and academia linkages. We need to do signing with MOUs. And MOU should contain the training facilities, internship and placement facilities, research and development facilities, syllabus and curriculum designing, review and improve syllabus, sharing infrastructure and manpower, contributing workshop facilities, placements, etc. And there is an important, role to be played by teacher in higher education in understanding and studying the skill gap analysis to identify job roles, identify industry requirements, develop curriculum and syllabus based on the analysis, develop qualification packs, meet industry people regularly, engage trainers, observe dynamics of industry with latest scientific inventions, and to review syllabus accordingly. Of course, we need to focus on local media. We can think of the university and higher education departments to constitute state committees to study and understand the rich cultural heritage of the state and to integrate these traditional skills in the higher education sector. Then the university and higher education departments shall also facilitate colleges in mapping vocational job roles offered in schools to the VBOK and other vocational courses offered at higher education institutions. A team of teachers may be mobilized to conduct survey and mapping, encouraging more higher education institutions to offer vocational degrees and skill-based courses. Need alignment of skill courses in the colleges with those in the higher secondary schools. A group of teachers may be engaged to conduct analysis and mapping. So there lies a great importance of a maximum awareness to be spread across all stakeholders. And this faculty development program, which we are having today in the college, is perhaps one such series of programs that needs to be organized often more in the other institutions also. And we also need to change the societal stigma and mindset on the inferiority of vocational education vis-a-vis the mainstream education. We need to have more training of trainers, and you all are part of this great event today. And we also need to have an understanding of the recognition of the prior learning, which is based on NSQL. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do we have towards our future? We need to have the employment reform, matching and connecting supply to demand. Employability reform, improving supply for employability. Education reform, creating a pipeline of educated and skilled workers. Entrepreneurship reform, to create a vibrant entrepreneurial culture in education. Strengthening our technical and vocational education system. We need to do fostering knowledge intensity through workplace training, developing local skills ecosystems, then integrating skills for green growth and greening economies, ensuring synergy between priority investments and skills development, lifelong learning for a dynamic education and training system, skills for inclusive and sustainable growth, addressing skills mismatch calls for not just upskilling, but also right skilling, which is very, very important and essential. Strengthening the skills and workforce development system, strengthening foundational skills and direct measurement of skills, and mainstreaming soft skills into technical and vocational education training for improved productivity, and integrating employment services into skills training. Out of roughly 29 lakhs population of Manipur, more than 6 lakhs educated youth, including 2 lakhs women, are seeking employment at present. Thousands of graduates pass out from higher education institutions, but industry requirements are not yet fulfilled. So the Department of University and Higher Education Government in the state where skill development courses and teachers play the pivotal role in this challenging task. And I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that this faculty development program will definitely enhance knowledge in the field of integrating skills in higher technical education. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for your insightful speech. You have highlighted the importance of vocationalization of higher education to bring forth the increased rate of employment among our young learners to make them job provider rather than job seeker. You have also stressed on challenges we will face as a teacher in bringing the change in higher education, and you have also highlighted the importance of NEP 2020 for the bringing a huge change in higher education. Indeed, it is really an insightful session. Now we'll have the second session, and it will be conducted by Professor QULITY, Department of Foreign Languages,
Backup period.
Korean Language and Culture within the ambit of integrating skill development in higher education.
Audio input.
So I'd like to request ma'am.
Madam,
Bluetooth mode. FM tuner. Audio input. Bluetooth mode. Bluetooth mode.
Iya lagi ada. Ini apa nih?
anh cái này này cái gì cái này nó phải biểu nó thì cái này ai cái này Với những khả năng sức nổi được hậu thân maximum là ada besar di ani sendiri logo tuh ini nah orang hậu thân hai bên đây còn hai bên đây vì đó
Baik sini. Ini tadi ngomong. Dia tadi kami. Baik sini. Ada. Sa.
Generously ada reporter member of the power. So I personally regarding the vigilance.
Si dalam kemungkinan LILONG.
안녕하세요. My topic is Korea interrelations and education in Korea. Briefly, I want to share about some information. Do you know how far Korea from India? When I come to Manipur, whenever I meet the Manipuri people, and then they ask me, are you real Korean? I say yes. And then I played in the Korean series. Do you know the Lee and do you know the BTS? Like, and then they asked me, how can I go to Korea? And then I told them, by airplane. Yeah, but by airplane it is only 7 hours from Delhi to India. Delhi to Seoul. So it's not far. When I come to Manipur, I recognize we have another route in cheap way. Through the Kolkata and through the Thailand, we can go to Korea. It's very cheap. Before the corona, round trip is around the 13,000 rupees. So Korea is not far. And then this is the introduction of India. As you see, so much different, right? And then land more than 300 different. And then the GDP, especially the GDP per capita, 1%. GDP is a little bit 3 times higher than the India. Right? Exchange of people. This is the based on the 2021 research. The 270,000 people traveling between Korea and India. So India is visiting Korea about the 110,000, and Korea takes India visiting 160,000. So it's more growing. And then briefly, I want to share about the Korean history. Korea has a different dynasty, but recently we have Korean Joseon dynasty, the dynasty, the colonization by the for 35 years. After that, we have a Korean war, and then we were divided into the North Korea and South Korea. So whenever the Manipuri people meet to me, and then they ask, are you North Korean and South Korean? So, but as a South Korean, I cannot imagine we are asking whether you are North Korean or South Korean. Because of the Korean War, we divide it into 2 countries, totally different countries, just like Pakistan and India. Our emotional feeling is the same with yours. And then this is the Korean Council of Democracy. The 2 days where we had the president election. So against the government, they won. So from the May, we are giving a different the government. And then, and you have you heard about two-light demonstration, two-light revolution? Have you heard? It happened 2017 during the Park Geun-hye presidency. Third time, the civilization raised up and they had a demonstration because of the corruption in politics. So the civilization won. So we got the new president. Also, I'm not sure about the Korean industry. Because of the river miracle, we became a rich country. Before, we were nothing. We don't have anything. After the Korean War. But because of the Han River project, we became a rich country. So this is the rapidly economy is growing up, and then this one is our culture and history. We have villages, we have communities, we have and then the famous the poem, the land of the east by the Tagore. Yes, this one is the 16th India parachute with ambulance. So when we have the Korean War, Indian helped us by the air ambulance. So till now we are very thankful for them to participate in our work. Every year we are inviting them to our embassy to live and we treat them meal together. And then the director trade relations and then million US dollar we trade with the India. The expert in the 50 million US dollar and 5 million US dollar. The comprehensive economic partnership agreement we made at the 2010, and then India is Korea's eighth largest exporting country and third largest importing country. Then Korea is India's 18th largest exporting country, the seventh largest importing country. You may think India doesn't export to the Korea, you just import the Samsung machine or Hyundai, the cars like that. But look at here, Korea is India's 18th largest exporting country. So India also exporting a lot of things to the Korea. We have a very close relationship in the economic field. And then Korean business in India. And then in New Delhi, this is more encouraging, but in New Delhi we have 217 companies are here. In the Delhi NCR, the Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Chennai. All over the India, we have more than 756 companies. Also, the Koreans in Delhi for 13 years. I was for 10 years as a duty officer. But when I came to India in 2005, so Korean number is not many. We don't have a Korean grocery shop, or even when I came to India, we don't have a big shopping mall. After I came, and then the KFC followed in Delhi. After I came to intern, the KFC followed me. So, but this is so many Koreans are living in all over the India. And this was FBA, India. Also, we have a CSR activities in each Korean company. The foreign company, which is in India, they have to serve the CSR activities with their money. So in Manipur University, we got the two big TV from the region as a CSR work. Also, they are looking for the other school or historical evaluation. And then when the President Park Geun-hye was as the president, she visited India 2015. She met the Prime Minister. So when she came to India, I was the director of the press center. So I record every conversation between the president and the prime minister. Also the 1 year early, and then 2014, she visited India. At that time, the prime minister is different. Then our relationship started from the 1950. During our Korean War, we had a relationship with India in the 1950. Then we left more than the 6,000 customs forces from the India. Then 1933 is very soon the diplomatic relations. So before 1 year before, and then South Korean University was the Korean actually the 1 year. Our language was started Korean language course in the 1970s. And then when the Roh was the president in India also, the next president visited India. He is our president. He also have a new certain policy. So it's very important for economic field and education field. The India is included Asia. So according to the new certain policy, the Korean government support the Korean language promotion in India. Also, Prime Minister Modi visited Korea 2018. So during that visiting time, then we had a lot of we have made a lot of the contract or agreement together. Even 2019, we visited Korea. So I recognize the lady many kinds of things is very similar with Korea. Especially the children's the play is very similar, and then also the music instrument is similar. When I came to Manipur, whenever I was invited in the wedding ceremony or the other function, then I feel, oh, it's just like Korean. Their performance with the Korean music instrument is very similar to Korean. And food and village and home pressure. This month, I want to share about the media. You might know more than me because you watching the Korean series. I want to share about the Korean language education in India. Korean language we call the Hangul. The Korean alphabet Hangul was invented in 1443 by the team of scholars in the Royal Research Organization leadership Hanjan under the direction of the king. So during the Joseon Dynasty, King Sejong our own script. When I came to Manipur at the 2018, and then the others doesn't read the Meitei. But I can read Meitei because when I came here, I learned Manipur in the Meitei. So when I went to Bharat, I was just reading the which is written in the Meitei. So I don't know the meaning. It's a problem because I cannot find the proper book to learn Manipur in the Meitei or written in the Bengali script. Just like that, the we Korean has we don't have a script, our own script. Just like we follow the Bengali script, we follow the Chinese character. But the Joseon Dynasty has made invented the Korean language. the Hangul. But it's very simple principle. Only three principles. God represents the human being, underline representing the word earth, and then street light representing the sky. So we composite these three components. We make our own script. This is a consonant and vowels. We have a 21 vowels, and then we have a 19 consonants. So it's not difficult to learn. Yeah, maybe is very simple, but it's difficult to me. Yes. I was in JU for 10 years, so very Hindi, very English से और अच्छी होगी. जब मैं हिंदी आ रहा था, उसी समय मुझे लगता है कि हिंदी संसार में सबसे अच्छी and simple language होगी. I don't like that. But I'm thinking the Korean is more easier than the Hindi. So within 2 days, our students can read and can write. Just like me, I can write, I can read the Mayday maps, but I don't do the meaning. Just like within 2 days, you can learn Korean script. And Korean language teaching in India, as I mentioned, 1973, India and Korea made the MOU. After that, and then Jawaharlal University started their Korean language course for the 1 year certificate course. And then 1995, they opened the BA in Korean. And then 1998, they opened up MA in Korean. And 2002, the university started the Korean language course. And then each the college, they also started the Korean language course. And then 2019, Jamia Millia Islamia started the BA in Korean language. And the Manipur University began the 1 year certificate course in Korean language from 2012. And then after I came to Manipur University, we opened the PG diploma course. And then unfortunately, 2020, we opened the BA honors in Korean language. But last year, because of the Professor Gohar, and then we opened the 5 years integrated MA in Korean course. So from they entered our program, they tested MA. Also, Central University of Rajasthan given the BA and MA integrated course in 2011, but they closed their course because of the lack of the faculty members. Also, certificate course, so many universities or colleges have a 1 year certificate course before converted. So 11 certificate course in that university. And then some university has optional course, just like MRO student. Amity University has optional course in Korean language. Almost 600 students are learning Korean language. The Rajgah University was optional course. Almost 300 students are learning Korean language. Wow, it's too much. Right, all over the India, so many universities colleges in the Korean language. This is another organization, King Sejong Institute. I already King Sejong invented our script, right? So according to his name, the Korean government established the education institute for promoting the Korean language. So all over the India, we have 5 the centers for this one. The one is under the EM University in Manipur. So almost 400 students are learning Korean language under this institute. This is the blue color is the certificate course student, red color is MBA, green color is MA. So most Korean learners are in the certificate course. This is the regional based, and then the green color is the North Delhi HCR, JNU, Jamia Millia Delhi University. For the Delhi University College, open the Korean language course and the Amity University also the optional course. So more than more than 1,000 students are learning Korean language in the Northeast India. And the next is the Northeast India, because of the Manipuri University, but enough number. And then Korean language teaching in Manipur, we opened the Korean language course from from a course of Anand. Higunu course for 6 months. From the 2008 DM University and New Chatham University, Hubei University. They have a 6 months Korean language course under the Higunu. And then we opened the full-time course, we opened the BA course. Yes, this month. Every year we are doing the cultural workshop, and then we have the workshop for the school teachers, and then we have a take-up competition, and many events we are doing. For you, you don't know? So many. Now I want to share one thing. When I come to Manipur, I'm so wonder why boys doesn't want to learn Korean language. So I asked to the boys, which is under the Japanese or Chinese course. So they say, oh man, Korean is just the trendy language for the young girls, not for the job. So I was so surprised. What? Through the Korean language, some opportunities are bigger than, more than the Chinese and Japanese. We didn't know. No way we didn't hear about. Really? Because I was in JMU for 10 years as a meeting professor. So I have many connections with the Korean company which is in Delhi NCR. When I came to the Manipur University, and I got some researchers, 5 researchers to for 2 weeks. And they report about the Korean language course of the Manipur University. And then some also recognized we are taking the Korean language course here. And then we got the 2 big TV from the LG. They know. And then we got the scholarship for every year 3.2 lakh for our student by the Korean Bank, which is in the Delhi NCR. So they asked me to recommend the workers. They asked me to recommend our students for their companies. But usually they ask me, when please recommend the boys, not the girls. Because the girls, the status will be changing after the get married. But boys working for a long time in their company, they think like that. But in Manipur, whenever I challenge to the boys, and they think, oh, through the Korean language, I cannot do nothing. But you can do everything through the Korean language. Even the last week, I got the email from the one Korean company, and they asked me if I am the student to recommend in the interpretation work. But I couldn't find the boys because all our course, only among the 13, only 3 are boys. But also, I, this is my opinion, from my experience. The Manipuri boys easily give up the course. Whenever Filipino people, they give up. So we encourage them to finish their course. Yeah. So after the Korean language course, they can get a job, the government job, especially from the JMU. Some students are Indian bureau. Because in Indian bureau, they need a Korean interpretation. So they were selected, etc. And then also the military service or the government office, they need a Korean interpreter. Because we have a lot of work with the Korean company and the Indian government. So they need an interpreter. So they can get a government job in the Ministry of External Affairs also, and the Ministry of Science and Technology. PMO, industrial field, some related both online workers, small and medium enterprise. Now, this is increased more than 750 companies, and then the other Oracle, Wipro, like that. Last year, we had the 10 graduate students from the PG diploma course. Among them, 5 got the job. 3 got the job from the Korean Trading Organization, and then 1 got the MA position in JU, and 1 got the job from the Korean company which is in the village. But rest of the 5 students, they did get a job, but they don't want to leave the Manipur. They love Manipur. So they don't want to go to the other cities. Even the girls, she want to go to the Delhi to get a job, but their parents doesn't allow. No, 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 man, please give a job in Manipur. But we don't have any Korean company in Manipur, so how can I give a job? But most Manipuri students love the Manipur, so they are moving. That is a problem. And then maybe we have a business company, and then we have around 750 Korean companies are in India. And then I want to share about another one, the Korean government scholarship. This is for the student and for the faculty both. So I want to share about this program. Till the 2019, the Korean government selected only 17 Indian students per year. But from the 2020, they increased numbers more. So this year also, they are selecting 54 Indian students. We have a two check. First is the embassy check. The general applicants quarter 22, and then the Korean language teaching professors quarter 1, and then this one, the quarter for research program. If you are under the 14, you can try for applying this program. And the university check, we have a 5, the quota for the research program. So you can also try to this quota also. So total 6 quota for the research program. Just like you, faculty members, you can try to go to Korea for your research program. And then general program in science, we have a 19 quota, and then we have 11. So the period of scholarship master's program, they are supporting the 3 years. The Korean language program 2 years of the degree program. So if you're the university open the Korean language for your students, and then we have a Korean proficiency test twice in a year in Manipur University. This coming the 10th April, we have this topic visit. And then if you got the certificate above the topic course, you get this scholarship. Usually the JNU student get this scholarship, but this is so many students are applying. Last year, more than 2,000 students applied for the 54 seats. But I pushed the embassy to select university students because until this time, the JNU students get this scholarship more. But JNU doesn't have the seat for the faculty. It is full. For Manipur University, we just started the BA program. We are extending this program. We just started the MA program. And then we will extend our post till the PhD. It means we need a more faculty. So after this scholarship, the most the candidates want to be the Korean language teachers in university. So more opportunity to get a job is in the Northeast India. Also, I visited the Esri University and the Shillong, Daegu University, and then I visited the Assam University also. Many the universities in the Northeast India, they want to open the Korean language because their students want to learn Korean language. It means we need a more Korean language teachers, right? So I pushed the Korean embassy to select more Northeast Indian students for this class. Because the Hari student doesn't want to come to the Manipur. So we have to have our own candidate. And then the access program, we have a 4 years program, 1 year program, language program, 3 years. The research program is you can apply for 6 months or you can apply for 1 year. But for the research program, you don't need to have the Korean certificate. You can just go and you can do your research work with the Korean professors who invite you. This is a scholarship benefit. They are providing airplane fee and then the settling fee, the monthly allowance, the 60,000 per month for the MA, and then around 80,000 per month for the PhD and scholarship. Research, they cover the health insurance. Also, once a year they invite the trip for looking around the Korea. They have some events. This month's my preparation, and then if you have an invitation, and then we can interact with each other. It will be better. Do you have any question? Do you have any question? She has a question. There.
You have explained very well about so many degree courses now. But I just want to share your ideas relating that Korea has non-employability so low. As how the government is doing this relating to this skill development, how the percentage of this non-employability is so low by this in your country. Please share your ideas relating to this.
Why the Korean government doesn't hire the Indian work?
No, what I mean is that, yes, as Madam Rangitawali has also mentioned that the skill development percentage Korea is highest.
Very high.
Yes, and non-employability is also very low. Here in our country, non-employability rate is so high.
Yeah.
How the government is doing and how this non-employability becomes low? What are the programs or this? There must be some functionaries.
Yes.
Please share that idea.
Yeah.
I just want to know.
In the last presentation, I saw the percentage more than the vocational education in Korea. Why? Because till the middle school it's free. In Korea, till the middle school, all tuition fee is free. Even the school uniform, the government provides. But these days, the family has the only child. So after the middle school, none of the students dropped their higher education. So almost all are promoting to the higher school, the higher secondary school education. After that, almost all the high school students go to the university. Why? Because Korean government support their tuition fee according to their living incomes. So in Korea, we have a system from 1 to 11. We call the stage. According to the stage, the government supporting even the university tuition fee. So if they have the first stage, the tuition fee is free. Second stage, tuition fee is 5% they have to pay. But how they can buy this stage according to the parents' income tax. So almost all students, whatever they want, they can study in university. Work, leading job, the job they doesn't have. So we this kind of the job to the foreigners. So this is in Korea. We have a Pakistanis and then Vietnamese and Mongolian and Chinese. So many foreigners are working in Korea. So in the especially in countryside, the farming, they need the laborers, right? So in the countryside, in the village, the half, more than half, the foreigners are living. So I'm thinking why our rate is high because of the education, the supporting by the government. So everybody can finish the middle school in and then even they are poor, they can get many supporting from the government. I visited Korea in the this year, the January, because my mother-in-law was sick and serious. But when we leave the Korea, I felt the Korean welfare system is very good because my mother-in-law is sick, so government sent the person who is taking care of her for 4 hours for every day, and then we pay only 5% of her salary. And government paid 95% of her salary for every day. So this kind of system, and then the vocational education, the rate is high. Do you have another question?
Along with whether we get a health exchange program between teachers of India.
Yes. Because of the, I'm trying to MOU between the Korean University and Manipur University. Under the MOU, we have a condition to exchanging the faculty, exchanging the students this year together. But gradually, I want to extend this the MOU with the other college also. So if you wanna work with the Korean college, and then you have to think about to open the Korean course in your university.
Madam, may I also do?
Yes, because we are under the Department of Foreign Language. Also, you can, if your university.
What is the, how is the education system different in Manipur and in Korea?
Yeah. I have a three children. Two are already grown up. They are in Korea, but they graduated TS in Delhi. I have a last one. He is a class 10. He is in the Napa school. When he was 58, we brought him to India. So he doesn't want to eat the rice.